Oh, fuck me, here we go. Yeah, so there seems to be a lot of mixed opinions about Metal Gear Solid 5, despite the overwhelming critical success it got from reviewers. Yeah, there are so many videos that delve into why this game is being weighed down by the things it didn't have time to finish. I love those videos and they bring up some valid points, but I'm not trying to be the boy who was late to the bandwagon. I have to follow the tracks down to a town whose population consists entirely of people spouting 95% of MGS5 is filler. You like overused and drawn out analogies? Well, I got plenty more in this script, so stay tuned. I sort of want to look at this game from a more positive angle. Why? Probably a combination of being a fanboy of MGS since I was a wee lad and, despite my demeanour, being a pretty optimistic gamer. So I'm not here to talk about the somewhat lackluster story, as I don't feel like beating what pulp is left of an overhyped horse. So I'll mainly be focusing on the gameplay at its core, just because I think we can all agree that most of the side-ups can feel so repetitive and time-consuming that riding the horse between them all is probably what turned the aforementioned hype horse to pulp before any fanboys got their bats to it. And a side note, this video is probably going to be more for those who have been confused by the contradiction between review scores and gamers' opinions, so I won't be delving into any spoilers here, so when I touch on story stuff I'll be coming into it from a non-spoiler angle. Plus the good thing about being a tiny channel is that I can put sort of unpopular opinions out there and no one cares. Because no one watches. What? I'm not better. I'm not. Before I talk about the main crux of the video, I want to preface with little opinion on the story for me. Metal Gear Solid 3 pretty much set up the stakes for Big Boss's villainy, so we knew pretty much every game after this was kind of redundant story-wise. We know the guy is going to be a villain, showing us his purely spectacle at this point. The guy is clearly an arsehole, and from the way the game is marketed, it tells us that this game is going to come full circle for the series. And it's well acted enough to be entertaining, despite an overuse of Miller and Ocelot, and a Big Boss that always seems like he's let one rip and doesn't want to give it away by, talking. So it may not manage to be the link that we were promised, but it fills in the gaps. And that satisfies us like it satisfies a toddler to shove a cylinder into a circle slot. At least for me, because goo goo gaga. Now the story shit is out of the way, we can move on to the gameplay. And the amount of utility in this game is fucking ludicrous. The game wants you to be ghostly stealthy and go in and out without being seen by anyone, which is satisfying, but the most reliable way to do that is to magazine, trank and touch up guards enough so that they'll join you. I actually do enjoy playing this way, but to me this is essentially like going to a theme park and riding the same fucking roller coaster all day until you vomit up your insides, even if it is a good one. At its core, the game works best when the enemy is suspicious but isn't aware of your presence. The tension ramps up as soldiers go off their beaten paths to investigate something, be that a body or damaged equipment and stuff like that. Sometimes it even feels the way Big Boss should be playing is getting the whole thing done and then blowing the place sky high. If he's touted as the world's best soldier, then he bloody well knows it at this point. But at its core it works just like the old games. Metal Gear Solid 1, 2 and 3 had kind of weird control schemes that were kind of clunky, but once you mastered them you could have all sorts of fun. But with MGS5 being one of the best controlling games I've ever played, the developers had to find a new way for players to master the game past the S ranks for the kiddies, of which, yes, I still like those because as we established earlier, goo goo gaga. Therefore they present you with an overwhelming amount of tools, gadgets and weapons to get the job done, and you can just about go off the rails with this stuff so long as you're more creative than a teaspoon. What? I never said I was. Describing that the feel of a game is good is very abstract, and one of innumerable ways to fail as a critic and become one of those wide as an ocean but as deep as a puddle kind of people. So let me define what I mean. They nail the feeling of being Big Boss. Did you not think in Peace Walker, ah man, for a game that has Walker in the title, you think they'd let me walk around the base? Then boom, here's your helicopter, here's your buildings, here's your scale, here's your cultists, I mean your soldiers saluting you. The scope of heading up a mother base is realised. Although there's not much interesting to do here besides running around choking people and interrogating them for goodies, not unlike my birthday celebrations, it is still noteworthy. But you get my point. They took time out of development to flesh this place out, and I'm just giving credit where credit is due. I think my thoughts on this game can be summed up like this. I beat the game in little over a month in 2015, played it on and off for about 6 months afterwards, and then thought I probably won't have time for a replay with this one. As MGS5 doesn't work like the other games, it's inducted the one master file per account that a lot of AAA games have been going for lately. RIP save slots. And yet here I am, a completed save file deleted just so I can go through organically with level appropriate gear just for gameplay purposes. And I'm still shit at ending videos. And on that note,